We are now officially in the final stretch of this road to WrestleMania 40, because Elimination Chamber was the final pit stop, and it was a show that made some of these battle lines a little bit more clear. Because Elimination Chamber hyped up existing feuds to make them truly WrestleMania worthy, but it also gave us new and exciting feuds for us to really sink our teeth into. So today we're going to be looking at what the landscape of WrestleMania now looks like now that Elimination Chamber is over. We're going to go over some of the matches that we already knew were confirmed for the show, and we're also going to go over some of the matches that have now been set because of Elimination Chamber. Even if they're not confirmed, we're going to be talking about those. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm confident you're going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we upload daily wrestling content. And we're going to really ramp it up here during WrestleMania season, so trust me, you're going to want to be subscribed here. All right, let's jump into it. Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns was already a match that was already scheduled to happen at WrestleMania 40 even before Elimination Chamber. And they didn't really add anything to this feud during Elimination Chamber, as Cody Rhodes was at the show as part of the Grayson Waller effect, but Roman Reigns wasn't, and neither was Paul Heyman, and neither was any member of the Bloodline. Now, I don't think that this feud necessarily needs any more hype up. I'm already excited for it, but it would have been nice if in this final stop to WrestleMania, we could have really added some extra fuel to the fire. So I'm expecting this feud to really start to pick up even more here in the final weeks, in the final stretch to WrestleMania, because it was white hot during this whole WrestleMania kickoff press conference, but all of that has really involved The Rock and the cuckening of Cody Rhodes. I really want to see these two now build up a feud and really truly get us excited for this one-on-one matchup. Now, I do want to remind you all how we got to this point, because it should have been super easy. It should have just been Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble 2024, and he should have gone off to face Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania 40. It should have been that simple, that easy, but WWE, you know, sometimes they like to do a little bit more extra heavy lifting when they don't need to, because this moment happened. The cuckening of Cody Rhodes, as many of us have been calling it, where for some weird reason, Cody Rhodes gave his WrestleMania main event spot to The Rock, something that they've yet to explain as of the making of this video, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think that they're ever going to explain it. And this moment presumably gave us The Rock versus Roman Reigns, babyface Rock versus heel Roman Reigns. Then all of this happened with the hashtag We Want Cody Rhodes movement. Then we had the WrestleMania kickoff press conference where Cody Rhodes is like, psych, just kidding, I am going to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. The Rock just bitch slapped the hell out of Cody Rhodes, and now we're back here to Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Nothing has changed since all of this. Again, Elimination Chamber didn't really add anything to this particular feud, but it did add a wrinkle to the Cody Rhodes versus Bloodline narrative as a whole, which we'll talk about here towards the end of the video. This is another one of the matches that was already confirmed even before Elimination Chamber, and similar to Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, there was no added hype and there were no added layers to the storyline between Bayley and Io Sky. There could have been a place where they could have maybe added a little bit of more hype to this because the Kabuki Warriors were on the pre-show, but frankly, I don't want anything that Bayley or Io Sky does to be on a pre-show. So if anything, it might be a blessing in disguise that this had nothing happening in Elimination Chamber. If anything, let's just let this play out on Friday Night SmackDowns and let us just get excited for this feud, because it's gonna be a very, very good match, even though it's already getting overshadowed by a lot of other things happening at WrestleMania, where I'm concerned it's just not gonna get the spotlight and the shine that it deserves. Now, this match, unlike the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns match, was a very simple trajectory. Bayley, just like Cody Rhodes, won the Royal Rumble, and when she was gonna choose what champion she was gonna pick, Damage Control was behind her laughing at her, which kind of triggered Bayley into being like, yeah, you guys are kind of dicks about this whole thing. I've been trying to help you guys, I've been trying to elevate you guys, and all you do is treat me like crap, so now boom, I'm gonna go after Io Sky. And then we got this awesome photo here that's gonna live on in my mind rent-free for quite some time. And here we are, Io Sky versus Bayley for the WWE Women's Championship. This is gonna be a fantastic match. Again, no added fuel or anything really during Elimination Chamber, but that's okay. Here's one of the matches that was confirmed because of Elimination Chamber. Actually, a little bit deeper than that, was confirmed because of the actual Elimination Chamber match, which is the namesake of the entire PLE. That being Rhea Ripley, the champion who came out of Elimination Chamber as the champion, so it's confirmed who the champion is going to be, taking on the winner of the Women's Elimination Chamber match in Becky Lynch. It was actually pretty simple how we got here. Becky Lynch won a #1 contendership against a group of just super talented main event caliber women, a lot of them, which if you were to ask me, have better narratives and better storylines to have gone off and face Rhea Ripley, but that's not what this video is about. She had to beat Naomi, Raquel Rodriguez, Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, and of course the upstart in Tiffany Stratton. Becky Lynch would win the match by pinning Liv Morgan, who once again has come in second place for like the 15th different time in something involving a world championship, which I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated for poor Liv Morgan. I want to see her do something where she finally wins and is like actually the bride, not the bridesmaid for once. And yeah, with Becky Lynch winning, we now have this confirmed: Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. Now, in terms of hype right now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm like sitting at a 3 out of 10. And that 3 is purely because of the namesake of the people that are in this match. Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, that is a dream match, that is a huge money match, and that is a match that deserves the WrestleMania spotlight. My problem isn't with Becky Lynch being in this match. It seems like a lot of people have now all of a sudden weirdly started this narrative that Becky Lynch is just like Charlotte Flair. Becky Lynch doesn't deserve this moment. Becky Lynch is just becoming this person that's stepping on people that are trying to climb up the ladder. Boo-hoo. Look, we knew this match was coming towards us at like lightning speed during the last year or so of Monday Night Raw. The problem with this match shouldn't be that Becky Lynch is in it. The problem with this match isn't that the other 6 or 5 women aren't in it. The problem with this match is that they have such little time to build this match. Now, here's the thing. If you go back in time, right, and I'm gonna remove this revisionist history that a lot of us have. A lot of us, and I stand by this, love Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair. I think it's fair that many of us believe that that's one of the greatest women's matches ever in the history of professional wrestling. What if I were to tell you that last year we were clowning on that match even more than people are clowning on Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch? Because yes, people were frustrated with Charlotte getting another WrestleMania main event, but on top of that, they didn't build that match at all. There was no story. There was no feud. They had maybe one interaction heading into WrestleMania, and that was a major complaint that many fans were having, that they didn't do a good job of building Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair. And all of us have forgotten about that because Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair was fucking amazing. And I have a feeling that perhaps it's going to be a similar situation here, but I hope that they do a better job of actually building the match so that there's hype going into it, and so that all of the hype isn't just coming out of it. I want to have hype going in and coming out, because this match is going to be great. Obviously, it's a big marquee match, but let's build Becky Lynch a little bit more. Let's build this feud a little bit more. Let's give us a reason to care as opposed to just relying on the namesake. But I'm telling you, if you are good with how Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair ended, just remember that the buildup to that was brutal, and we were just absolutely so mean to the entirety of the WWE with how that match was built. I think they're going to do a better job. I just don't want them to repeat history with a poor build is all. Do you want even more wrestling content? Then consider coming over to my Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZap. You already get daily wrestling content here, but you actually get extra content over there that doesn't ever appear here on the YouTube channel, like the Wrestling is Cool podcast goes on there 3 days early. You get the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, you get Wrestling is Cool Gaming. So go check it out. There might be something that you like there. Patreon.com/SantiZap. All right, that's it. Back to the video. Next up, we have Seth frickin' Rollins taking on Drew McIntyre. And similar to Becky Lynch, we got here because Drew McIntyre won the men's Elimination Chamber match, where he was able to defeat Randy Orton, Logan Paul, LA Knight, Bobby Lashley, as well as Kevin Owens. And yeah, was it a little bit predictable to have Drew McIntyre be the one to win the Elimination Chamber? Yes, but it's also really impressive that Drew McIntyre was able to reinvent himself as a character worker to the point where he made himself the only viable option that made the most sense to actually win this match and go off to face Seth frickin' Rollins. And that's kind of nutty to think about, that Drew McIntyre is this over with fans, that we're okay with this being the 4th time that these guys have faced off against each other in the past 5 months, because we had Seth Rollins beat Drew McIntyre clean at Crown Jewel. We had Seth Rollins beat Drew McIntyre clean at the Day 1 edition of Monday Night Raw. And if you want to count this, we had the team of Seth Rollins beat Drew McIntyre's team at Survivor Series War Games clean. So look, everyone here would have every single right to be upset about another match between Seth frickin' Rollins and Drew McIntyre. But Drew McIntyre, like I've been saying, has just been on this renaissance, has just reinvented himself in a way where he doesn't feel like the guy that lost all of these matches to Seth freaking Rollins. He feels like a guy that needed to win this Elimination Chamber, and he did, and he deserves to be in this spot against Seth freaking Rollins, and I'm pumped for it. These guys already have great history. The feud is already there. We know now that Drew McIntyre has become this awesome, toxic internet wrestling fan version of himself, that he can tell a great story as well. And we've been clamoring for that Drew McIntyre moment at WrestleMania, and we're finally getting it. I think this is an all-around win for all of us, especially considering the situation with CM Punk and what happened there, because we thought that we were going to lose a great main event, and yeah, maybe we did. We definitely did, but we're getting something great here as well. Here's a matchup that I was not expecting to have been cemented at this year's Elimination Chamber. Logan freaking Paul going into WrestleMania was a bit of a question mark. Some of us thought it was going to be LA Knight. Some of us thought that, okay, maybe they're just going to do Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens again, and we would have been fine with that. And we ended up getting a feud between Logan Paul and Randy freaking Orton. Now, this came out of completely left field, if you ask me. During the men's Elimination Chamber match, Logan Paul was eliminated by Randy Orton in a great RKO from out of nowhere, thanks to a fantastic camera angle. And then as Randy Orton was about to put away Drew McIntyre and win the entire thing, Logan Paul attacks Randy Orton with the brass knuckles, helping Drew McIntyre pick up the victory against Randy Orton. To me, that settles it. It's Randy Orton versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Now, a lot of us wanted LA Knight, but LA Knight, we're going to talk about in just a second, has something else going on. But this is fantastic. And some people online have been like, this is such a downgrade for Randy Orton. Are you kidding me? Come on, man. This is Randy Orton. He can do whatever he wants. I wouldn't be surprised if Randy Orton handpicked this feud. Maybe he ended up really liking Logan Paul after their Impulsive podcast. So don't be surprised if this is Randy's decision saying, I want to work with Logan Paul. He's probably maybe became friends with him during the podcast, has been seeing the great work that he's been doing. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a Randy Orton decision. On top of that, I know that people want Randy Orton to go and chase that 15th World Championship, but this does put him just 1 degree separated from maybe a potential winner of the World Heavyweight Championship in Drew McIntyre, because they're going to have some problems because Drew McIntyre took advantage of a taken out Randy Orton. So you can still tell this nice side plot of Randy Orton and then transition him into that main plot that we all want the WWE to tell, which is the chase of 17. But yeah, in terms of hype meter, this right now might be the match I'm the most excited to see a build up for. Now that Logan Paul is also a full-time performer, that his feuds won't be built just off the back of pre-recorded vignettes. I am just excited for, one, the feud, the storyline that these guys can tell, but the match itself has a potential to be the one that steals the show at this year's WrestleMania. Logan Paul is just a money match machine at this point. The other feud that was more or less cemented as a WrestleMania quality feud was AJ Styles taking on LA Knight. And I say cemented as a WrestleMania feud because there's a couple other feuds that are going on that to me aren't yet cemented as WrestleMania feuds. I think a great example would be Bobby Lashley versus Karrion Kross. If the WWE all of a sudden said, you know what, Bobby versus Karrion is happening at WrestleMania SmackDown, I'd be like, man, that sucks, but okay, I guess that's what they're doing. I was a little bit concerned that that's what was going to happen with AJ Styles and LA Knight. But now that they've added this added wrinkle of both of these guys costing each other world title opportunities, this is now a WrestleMania feud. Let's remind ourselves how we got here. We had AJ Styles come back and be this emo version of himself to come back after Roman Reigns when the Bloodline took him out for several months, and he took out LA Knight in the process because he felt like LA Knight walked over his corpse when the Bloodline took him out and jumped in and took that opportunity that he felt was rightfully his, AJ Styles's. We then got this Royal Rumble Fatal 4-Way match where neither LA Knight and AJ Styles were able to win it, and Roman Reigns walked out with the championship. But then we had this #1 contender tournament or qualifiers for the Elimination Chamber. LA Knight cost AJ Styles his match against the eventual winner, Drew McIntyre, and then AJ Styles flew 30 hours to Australia to take out LA Knight and cost LA Knight the match and have him be pinned by Drew McIntyre. You know, this is why I like professional wrestling, because then you can start to think about the silly context of the situation, and you can really just like ask, really? So AJ Styles literally flew 30 hours just to hit LA Knight with a chair? That's petty as fuck, and I'm here for it, and that's WrestleMania worthy. We are definitely getting AJ Styles, LA Knight, WrestleMania, and I think that this is wonderful for all parties. I know a lot of people really wanted LA Knight to have a match for some gold at WrestleMania, but this is a big marquee match. This is the LA Knight's biggest match of his career, in my opinion. I know that he had that match against Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel, but none of us believed that he was going to win this. This is a proper match where LA Knight isn't just a stopgap for somebody else's story. He is the main focal point of this story, and it's at the biggest stage against a Hall of Famer in WWE and TNA, maybe even in New Japan, AJ Styles. Here's the other one that was kind of built up at Elimination Chamber, if you can believe this. Even though we already have Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, they also gave us The Rock versus Cody Rhodes, because during the Grayson Waller effect, a segment that I thought was pretty lackluster, it did remind us that, you know, it was The Rock that bitch slapped Cody Rhodes. So there is still some animosity there, even though Cody Rhodes is still going to go face off Roman Reigns. And Cody Rhodes hasn't let this particular slap really go by the wayside just yet. So Cody Rhodes got on the mic during the Grayson Waller effect, and he called out The Rock for a match, seemingly insinuating that we might be getting The Rock versus Cody Rhodes. And in a manner, he even insinuated maybe even that happening before WrestleMania. I highly doubt that that would be the case. There's no world where I see The Rock competing anywhere outside of WrestleMania, but that was potentially hinted at. So Cody Rhodes, The Rock, okay. But then Seth Rollins stepped in, and Seth Rollins, of course, being like, nah, you know, you don't have to do this by yourself. I'm here with my weird glasses, which, by the way, a lot of people seem to think that it was Velveteen Dream glasses, but then people forgot that Velveteen Dream is a, you know, a ripoff character of Prince. So this wasn't an homage to Velveteen Dream. This was an homage to Prince, dude. Come on. So with Seth Rollins stepping in there, maybe it's reconfirming this match that many of us thought, Roman Reigns versus The Rock and Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. If this is the case, when is it happening? And two, does this really mean that Roman Reigns is actually going to do double duty at WrestleMania? That Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and Seth Rollins are all doing double duty at WrestleMania? Is this going to happen after WrestleMania, before WrestleMania? They didn't really hit on that. They didn't really say, we want to have this match at WrestleMania. We didn't even say that it was going to be a tag match. In fact, it seemed closer to a proper challenge for a 1v1 between Cody Rhodes and The Rock. So maybe that is the match that we get, but maybe it is a one-on-one. Maybe it is a tag match. It's not confirmed, but in some capacity, The Rock has been called out for a match at WrestleMania 40. And here's the last one. This one wasn't really touched at Elimination Chamber, but I feel like it's the only other match that's like for sure concrete a thing, even though it hasn't been properly announced. That being Jey Uso taking on his brother Jimmy Uso. Let's recap how we got to this situation, because we had Jimmy Uso cost Jey Uso the Universal Championship. We had Jimmy Uso cost Jey Uso the World Tag Titles, and we had Jimmy Uso really recently cost Jey Uso the Intercontinental Championship. So if you're keeping track there, folks, Jimmy Uso has cost Jey Uso a triple crown's worth of titles in the WWE in the past 7 months. And yeah, this wasn't touched at Elimination Chamber, but it was more or less concretely given to us and stamped and laminated on the most recent episode of Monday Night Raw. So I felt like it was appropriate to talk about this. And I feel like this is one of those where we can all collectively agree this belongs at WrestleMania and nowhere else. But yeah, this is so far the match card that after Elimination Chamber seems to be what we're getting. Which, if this is the case, guys, I'm already super pumped for WrestleMania. There's just a couple of kinks that I want the WWE to really start to ramp up. I don't want them to repeat the history that they did last year in the poor buildup of Rhea versus Charlotte Flair with Becky and Rhea. That's, to me, is the one thing that I hope that they really focus on here over the last couple of weeks. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments down below. But so far, that's it. I'm done. Get out of here.